Hi guys, this is Young Neil from Advanced Property Strategies, and welcome back with another session with my podcast here. I've got David Wright from Spending Planners Institute. Hey mate, how you going?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, and yeah, really excited to be sharing the stage with you, so to speak. And yeah, I know you've got a lot to share. You've been helping a lot of people in Australia for many years. So yeah, David and I met a few years back at a seminar. He was on stage. I was in the crowd, you could say, listening in. So yeah, mate, it's one of those things that I'm really excited for us to be continuing to work together. Hey.
Yeah, that was quite some time ago, but we've stayed in touch and done a lot of stuff together since then. And I've got a lot of respect for what you do, and really pleased to be on your show.
Beautiful, mate. Yeah, look, it's Dave's also got a Succeed with Money podcast. So if you get a chance and you want to learn more about succeeding with money, check out his podcast. He's got some really cool interviews, including myself, of course, but some other really interesting people about lawyers and how to make money, how to keep money, and the fundamentals of that. So, Dave, do you want to just share with people what you actually do and why do you do it?
Okay, I don't do very much. I sort of muck around in my office. I muck around in my shed, play with motorbikes. So, oh, you mean what I do professionally?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Look, going back to, I mean, I'm 62 now, so heading for 63 shortly. When I was in my mid-30s, I realised that young family, stay-at-home wife, money wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't easy. Life was tough, one wage. And as a kid growing up, I think we all have this vision that life's going to be amazing. We'll marry a prince or a princess. We'll live in a castle. We'll drive a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari or whatever. And then, as you get older and reality starts to bite, you begin to sort of go, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I expected. And so I got to the point where I was so frustrated financially, I went on a mission to see if I could work out why that was and what the solution to it might have been. So long story short, I came up with a solution to the money stress that I was having. Ended up that became a product that was quite successful. And now it's become my life mission, if you like, to help other people who are experiencing money stress to leave that money stress behind. And I know, look, you do a similar thing, but in a different way. You teach people how to make money. I kind of teach people how to manage and keep their money. So I guess that's the short answer to your question. I love teaching people about how to manage their day-to-day finances and get on top of that. So
Yeah, and I completely appreciate that because as we grow up in primary school, high school, our parents don't really teach us how to manage money, right? So it's one thing to make money, it's another thing to keep it. And that's why I say is that it's not necessarily how much you make, it's how much you keep and how hard that money works for you. So, I know people out there, a lot of them strive to make money through property, and that's definitely part of my mission to teach people how to make more money through the vehicle of property. But I believe that having a strong fundamental financial basis is important. So, in terms of some tips that you might be able to give people, maybe 2 or 3 tips on managing money day to day, because a lot of them have PAYG income, they work for someone else. They have a wage that comes in weekly or fortnightly. What are some of the tips that you can give people at this stage, just especially if they're wanting to get ahead quickly?
Yep. Before I even get into tips, I think one of the most important things you have to understand is that success with money isn't really about money. It's about money is such a bigger topic than just money because it's emotional. Money is emotions, it's energy, it's a whole bunch of other things. And you can look at numbers all day long and go, well, what's the mathematics behind the numbers? And sit down at a kitchen table at night and do a budget, which I would never do anymore because budgets are boring. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you don't get your head right and your heart right, your emotions, and you don't understand the reasons why you're struggling with money, it doesn't matter how many budgets, how many numbers, how much stuff, but you focus on the numbers, nothing's going to improve. So I guess that is a tip in a way. It's to stop looking at the numbers and start looking perhaps in the mirror. But let's start with the most basic money tip of all that any money guru would give you, and that is spend less than you earn. It's pretty straightforward and simple, and it sounds simple, but it's actually not easy.
No,
And
it's not easy.
there's a really good reason for that, because on a day-to-day basis, if you put money in your purse or your wallet, on a Friday, you can see that money going out. If you're using a card, if you're using magic plastic money, one of these things, then it's a lot harder to keep track of it. But that's not the reason. I mean, that makes it harder. But one of the biggest things is that, for example, this morning, most people, doesn't matter what day it is, most people would have gotten up and at some point during the day would have gotten into their car and driven somewhere. When they drove off, they didn't notice there was a $20 note lying on the ground where their car had been parked overnight. It's not actually there physically, but overnight their car lost value. Their refrigerator got a little bit one day older. Their washing machine got a day older. All of these things that we own and that we possess, that we buy on, usually on hire purchase or, some kind of finance deal, they have a lifespan. And at some point in time, you're going to need to replace them. But it's so hard to understand how, $1,000 refrigerator 10 years from now needs to be replaced. And that's only $2 a week. But if you put $2 a week in your budget, where's that $1,000 10 years from now? You end up down at Harvey Norman doing the 2 years interest free, and you do a few of those, and that's my next tip. The biggest amounts of money disappear on the smallest of transactions. And so there's a double whammy there. Sort of like money disappears invisibly. You put in a swimming pool. There's the cost of the pool and the fence and the pavers and that. But then there's the cost of the chemicals. 3 years down the track, your pump's probably stuffed. Your chlorinator probably needs fixing up. There's all of these hidden costs. So living within your means isn't as easy as it sounds. So people have to be a little bit smarter when they take on commitments of that nature to think about, well, what are the down the road costs? Spend less than you earn, nice and simple and easy, but it takes a bit of work to get it right.
Look, absolutely. Yeah, I know that we all have needs and wants. So how do you encourage people to differentiate between their spending where needs versus wants? So I want to buy this brand new car, but I need a ute. So, I know you'd struggle with that, mate. You need another motorbike every month. So
I've only got 4 now. I've culled it down from 7.
Wow.
So I'm doing good.
Don't they depreciate over time as well? You leave $10 on the floor every day.
No, mine go up in value because I'm a collector.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So what was the question? Emotions versus needs and wants.
Yeah, that's right.
Needs versus wants. Look, as I said before, we're all emotional beings, and I would say that the first thing that you have to recognize is that you, looking in the mirror at yourself, are probably your number one worst enemy when it comes to becoming wealthy. And when I don't really teach people to be wealthy. I teach them how to take control of the basics so they can get to a point where they can start putting into practice the things that you teach and become wealthy. Although I've had people say to me, well, actually, what you're teaching people is probably the number one key to wealth. I'll take that, but I really see it as building the foundations that you can build wealth on.
Agreed.
And so you have to understand that you're an emotional being, and that, we all have things that we know we need to do. And then there's the things that we want to do. And you have to be able to control the emotions and say, okay, let's make sure that we balance the needs and the wants. And it's actually not that hard to do. I've got 15 words that start with the letter E that I call my biggies that will influence your financial outcome. And my number one biggie is eyes.
Right.
If you go and stand in the showroom at the local car dealer, what's going to happen?
You're going to buy a car.
You're going to end up buying a car.
Yeah.
I used to go to the motorbike shops, and of course I would buy motorbikes.
Yes.
You go to the shops on the weekend, you see stuff with your eyes, you buy it. So the next E is your environment. Choose your environment really carefully, because if you go to the shops all the time, you're going to spend money all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
If you go to educational seminars and workshops, your eyes are seeing different things, and it's going to give you a different outcome. Emotions is another E word, so control your environment. You can probably control your emotions to a certain extent. So,
look, my big E, mate, in the past, especially in the last 12 months, is eBay. So
I hadn't thought of that one.
that's good. You like that one, mate?
I
Even
do. I've got 16
there you go,
piggies
mate.
now.
You can have that one.
Yep.
Look, I'm an avid fisherman, and especially when I'm under the pump or I've got a lot on, I know that one of my red flags is thinking too much about fishing, and when you can't get out because of what the weather's like, you just buy stuff. So lately, I can say that I've got enough gear, and I don't need a new boat or a new fishing rod at this point in time. I can't say what's going to happen next month, but
That could change.
so, how much discipline do you need to believe that people need to be successful with money? Because I know that people struggle with discipline, because they want something, they have a New Year's resolution, they have goals of losing weight, saving money, paying off their credit card, paying off debt. But I find that not everybody has the discipline that is maybe required to do something like this. So, what's your take on that?
Discipline is one of my favorite topics because who likes the word self-discipline? Nobody likes the self-discipline. And yet the only way that you achieve great things in life is through self-discipline. Any athlete that wins the gold medal has applied self-discipline. But they've also had a team of people around them who help them to do what they need to do and to perfect what they're doing. So you don't get the gold medal without the manager, the psychologist, the nutritionalist, all of these people that help you with disciplining yourself, if you like. But I mean that's all important stuff and relevant. But I think there's one key point that even comes back before that. If you're going to discipline yourself, you actually have to have something you're disciplining yourself to. And so if you've found that you're in a bit of a tight spot financially and you go, oh, look, you know what? I'm tired of all this money stress and money problems. Never going to spend money again. I'm going to discipline myself. Yeah, it's impossible to actually carry that out because you can't never spend money again.
That's right.
Because we all spend money. You have to spend money. It's easy. Well, for example, losing weight, you could say, well, I'm never going to eat ice creams again. Because, ice creams are probably making you fat if that's what you want to get away from. But you can't say, I'm never going to spend money again. What you'd have to say is, I'm never going to waste money, or I'm never going to spend money foolishly, or I'm never... And then, well, how do you know when spending money is foolish or sensible? And it gets really complicated and it becomes, oh, look, it's all too hard. So out the window with that one. So what I believe is that the most important thing, and you said earlier, that I run the Spending Planners Institute. I train people to help, and like I won't call it consumers, but I train people to help other people to create what I call a spending plan. And I used to call them a budget, but I realized that when I said the word budget, people would just kind of go glaze over like, okay, can we talk about the weather? Can we watch the grass grow? Because budgets aren't very sexy at all.
No.
But what I was talking about when I was saying budget was something totally different to what people thought I was talking about. So I've stopped talking budgets and now I talk about spending plans. And if you've got a plan that says, here's the journey that I need to go on to achieve what I want to achieve, and you've got checkpoints along the way that say to you, here's where you need to be on target. Here's where you need to be on target. If you're at this point, if your bank balance says that you've got this much money, and that's where the plan said you needed to be, well, then you can actually say, hey, I'm being successful, and discipline becomes almost an obsolete word because I'm following the plan's working. You can measure what you're doing and see whether it's working on a day-to-day basis, where discipline's kind of I'll sit in the corner and not spend money for a year and hopefully at the end of the year I'll have lots of money in the bank. It's too hard. It just doesn't work. People probably like me telling them that, but you need a plan, not discipline. But once you've got the plan, you've got to stick to it. So
Look, at the end of the day, I think what you're saying is there's a system there that can be used, and I think people should check it out. I'll get you to give me the URL very soon to find out more information about where that's at. But yeah, at the end of the day, people got to take responsibility for their own life and for their own finances. And this is part of taking responsibility, finding a way to make it work for you, isn't it?
Yep. And look, that's almost the cold, hard reality of it. But if you think about what you were taught at school, what your parents taught you, I mean, if your parents weren't great with money, how could they teach you to be great with money? In the end, yes, it's a journey that you need to take yourself. And a perfect indicator or example of that is you can look at 3 or 4 kids that grew up in the same home and their financial trajectories are totally different.
Yeah.
So it's not about what you learn in the environment at home. You do need to make your own path. You do need to learn. But it also comes down to the fact that we weren't taught stuff. So if you don't go and look for the information that you weren't taught, how are you ever going to be successful?
That's right. Exactly. So Dave, where can people find out more information about what you offer and how to get involved with what you're up to?
Yep. So there are two facets to what I do. And it's all about helping people to be successful with money. So I have a website called succeedwithmoney.com. And that's where you'll find my podcast, and you'll find Young on that podcast. You'll be there soon. And that website is basically dedicated to telling people about what spending planners can do and lots of money tips that you don't need to necessarily engage with us to learn from that website. But so succeedwithmoney.com is a great resource that we're building more and more money tips there for people to learn. And then I've got the Spending Planners Institute, which is a body that I created 5 years ago, where I train people to become spending planners. And that's getting really exciting now because we've actually started generating leads for spending planners. So it's almost to the point where we've got a business in the box. So for somebody who thinks, I would love to help other people be successful with money, spending planning is a career option that they might want to look at. And you can do that part-time and grow it up to full-time if you like. So spendingplannersinstitute.com and succeedwithmoney.com are the 2 places that people might want to go and have a look.
Excellent, mate. Look, thanks for your time. We're going to wrap it up there. Guys, this has been David Wright from succeedwithmoney.com and Spending Planners Institute. So check that out. And thanks again, mate, for your time today.
Absolute pleasure, mate. I love what you do. Thanks for interviewing me. I look forward to seeing what I come out like.
For sure. Cheers, buddy.